You ever get foot pain when you first get out of bed? If you do, or if you ever had, it's probably plantar fasciitis. And this injury makes up for 8% of running injuries every single year. Now, it does happen to a lot of people. You don't have to be a runner, and runners get it a lot. So, we are talking about plantar fasciitis. Right here is where it hurts. You know, I should probably just put some B-roll in to show you where plantar fasciitis hurts rather than twisting myself into a pretzel in the studio. The plantar fascia is a band of fibers that runs from the base of your heel to the tips of your metatarsals. So right along the bottom of your foot. So believe it or not, the actual causes of plantar fasciitis are not entirely known. However, there have been studies that show that poor ankle range of motion is related to it, which implies that your calf muscle being too tight may contribute to plantar fasciitis. In fact, the plantar fascia is pretty much a continuation of your Achilles tendon. Just kind of comes around the bottom of your foot and then right along the bottom of your foot. So if your calf muscle is tight, it's pulling on that Achilles tendon and it's pulling everything else around. Kind of makes sense, right? Obesity plays a role, as does time on your feet. But those two things probably aren't the root causes for most runners getting plantar fasciitis. Research out of the University of Delaware have shown that high impact loading rates are connected with plantar fasciitis. And what happens when we run? We're increasing those loading rates, aren't we? Every step we take, what is it, 2 or 3 times the weight of our body with every single step? So as a runner, don't be surprised if you get it. But a lot of us have been running for a long time, so we're used to that time on our feet. But it's been found that poor footwear choices can also contribute to plantar fasciitis. And when I say poor footwear choices, I mean wearing old shoes. Shoes that don't give you enough support. So perhaps if you need a stability shoe, but you're wearing a neutral shoe, that shoe isn't giving you enough support. If you have higher arches than your shoe actually supports, that could contribute to plantar fasciitis. Now, I do want to just interrupt myself to tell you that you don't have to stop running if you experience plantar fasciitis, especially in the beginning. You can make a few changes and get that healing process going. But it's the healing process that it's a bit tricky. So I've had plantar fasciitis 2 times in my running career. The last time lasted about a year. It's been a couple years since I've had it, so perhaps I'm exaggerating slightly with it lasting a year, but it lasted a very, very long time. Now, I'm going to tell you what I did to treat it in just a few minutes when we get into treatment options. So the itis in plantar fasciitis obviously implies that there's some kind of inflammation going on with our plantar fascia, but it's actually a degeneration of the plantar fascia. Now, icing is going to help when you get that burning sensation. It feels like somebody is stabbing a knife into your heel. Icing is definitely going to help. Maybe not help heal it, but it's going to make it feel better. So the reason this is such a pervasive injury is that there's really no blood flow to the plantar fascia. And blood flow is what encourages healing. That's why it takes so long to heal. So if you have plantar fasciitis and you go for a run and you come home and you rest and it's feeling okay, and this is the reason for the morning pain, that first step pain that feels like a lightning bolt going through your heel. So when we sleep, our feet kind of are straight out. They're not in dorsiflexion. And that kind of lets the plantar fascia heal. But as soon as we get out of bed in the morning, we stretch it, we undo all the healing that's been taking place. And that's why we get that annoying, very painful pain right at the base of our heel when we first get up in the morning. Now, in the early stages, you will go for a run. You may feel it at the beginning of your run, but the pain will likely go away as your legs and everything gets warmed up. And this is the time when you can keep running through it. If you're only experiencing minor pain right at the beginning of your run, you're probably safe to continue. If the pain persists, it is time to take time off. Other common causes of plantar fasciitis in runners has been seen in those who overtrain, those who neglect to stretch their calf muscles, and those who overdo speed work or hill work. So basically, the injury of plantar fasciitis falls into the terrible twos. The too much, too soon, too fast. If you do too much, if you go too fast, you're going to get injured. And plantar fasciitis can be one of those injuries. So let's talk about how we can deal with it and how we can heal it. So we've already established that if it hurts at the beginning of your run but goes away very quickly, you can probably start running. However, if you do want to heal something, it's best to avoid that activity that brings any pain. It doesn't take a scientist or doctor to figure that one out. And we've already talked about how supportive shoes are going to be preventative against plantar fasciitis. I don't know if anyone here needs an excuse to go buy a new pair of running shoes, but if you did, there it is. It's a healthcare cost. You'll probably send that into your insurance company. So if you find yourself with plantar fasciitis, it's coming on, it's not too serious yet, there are a couple things you can do. First is taping your foot. It's called low dye taping after the inventor. But basically you're taping your foot to take pressure off the plantar fascia. It also provides medial ankle arch support. And this treatment method is supported by scientific research. However, the magnitude of the effect of taping your foot is quite small, so it's best to incorporate that with some other rehabilitation techniques. You can also look into getting some custom orthotics, but those are very expensive. So you can also look into getting something just over the counter, something that increases the arch support. Of course, another option is just buying shoes that give your arch the support it needs. But there are plenty of products out there that you can buy and just put into your shoes to support the arch. So we've talked about taping being an additional treatment for plantar fasciitis, but the main thing that I want you to incorporate if you have plantar fasciitis is stretching. Stretching is where it's at. So I want you to incorporate calf stretches several times a day for several reps. So do this. Stretch your calf in the best way that you can. Perhaps it's standing, perhaps it's having your toes higher than your heels and kind of leaning against it. You know what I mean? Like when you're standing on an edge of a curb and your heel is lower than your toes, that gives your calves a good stretch. I want you to do that repetitively throughout the day, at least 3 times a day. Maybe hold the stretch for 30 seconds, take a break and do it a couple more times. There's also a plantar fascia specific stretch. And basically that's when you sit down and you take your foot in your hand and you kind of pull your toes back. You're going to feel that plantar fascia get tight along the bottom of your foot. It's going to feel really good. Now you'll probably read online that you can get a tennis ball, a lacrosse ball, any kind of ball, and kind of roll it across the bottom of your foot. I think I've actually got a specific tool for rolling out the bottom of my foot somewhere around the house. But keep in mind that that has not been shown to actually increase the healing rate of your plantar fascia. It may feel good, but massage generally feels good. And when you're rolling something across the bottom of your foot, it's nothing but a massage. Okay, now we're on to the thing that I did the most, or at least in my mind, this is what I did the most in order to get rid of my plantar fascia. When I had it, I did not tape my foot, but I was doing those stretches continually throughout the day. And side note, I did not stop running when I had it. The main thing that I did was to sleep in a boot. And I got this one from Amazon. I'll put a link down below in case you want to buy it. But I slept in this thing for a year. Again, it could have been less than a year, but it seemed like a very long time I was sleeping in this boot. I slept in it so long that when I took it off, after my plantar fasciitis had healed, I had trouble sleeping because something has changed. I was so used to wearing this boot all night. So basically the boot works by keeping your ankle in dorsiflexion. Therefore, it's keeping your calf stretched throughout the night. So when you take that first step in the morning, it's not a shock to your plantar fascia. You're not going to get that lightning bolt through the bottom of your foot. And my friends, I'm here to tell you, it works. There were times before I got the boot when I would step out of bed and I would almost fall over because that lightning bolt of pain was so intense. But when I put this on and I slept with it, I would take it off before I got out of bed, and I got right out of bed and could walk around just fine. There are a lot of other funny things out there, like socks with a strap that go from your toes to your knee, but this worked for me. And of course, there are the more invasive treatment techniques that you can look into if you have plantar fasciitis. You can inject your plantar fascia with corticosteroids, which seems like the pain of that injection just would not be worth it. Can you imagine something being injected into that part of your foot? Ooh, makes me shiver. There's also extracorporeal shockwave therapy and platelet-rich plasma therapy. But those two things are fairly new, and like the injection of corticosteroids, probably going to want to try and fix this on your own before you resort to something a little more extreme. And guys, I'm here to tell you, you can fix this. You can get over this injury and keep running while you're doing it. But let me just stop you right there and say that if you are having pain while you're running the whole run, it is time to just pack it in and go see a doctor. Try the things that I've mentioned, look it up, ask Dr. Google what she suggests, but if you can't fix it yourself, go see a doctor, please. So in a nutshell, I want you to wear comfortable shoes that are very supportive. If you do have plantar fasciitis, you're going to find that softer shoes feel a little better. Hard shoes have been found to contribute to plantar fasciitis. And if you're wearing high heels, forget about it. No one needs to be wearing high heels anymore. You can ice your foot several times a day to just help take that pain away. You can stretch your calves and you can stretch your plantar fascia. Again, I want you to do that several times a day. You can tape your foot to support the plantar fascia. You can put an arch insert in your shoes or get custom orthotics. You can wear a boot at night or a plantar fascia splint, I think it's called on Amazon. And you can roll out your foot, self-massage. Again, it's just going to make you feel better. Probably not going to fix anything. But let's be honest, feeling better, making it feel better is half the battle, right? I want to hear from you. If you have ever had plantar fasciitis, and I want to know how you got over it. How long did it take? Did you use any of the treatment methods that I've mentioned in this video today? Guys, I post new running videos at least twice a week. Be kind, be happy, run well. I'll see you in a couple of days.